Seriously, there's a fly in the room, so if I start waving my arms like a crazy person, that's why. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the channel. My name's Neil, and I have no idea what I'm doing, but I do know what I'm trying to do. That opening is probably going to stick. So I've tried to record this video, being the second one. I tried to record it the night before last, and it ended up being an hour long. And then I tried to record it again last night, and I ended up doing 4 or 5 takes of an hour's worth, but each one of those takes was just the beginning of the video from the night before. The point of the video the night before was meant to cover all of the topics that I said in the last video I would cover over the next few videos. Right? So who I am, what I do, what I have done, what I'm planning to do, what I'm planning to do with the YouTube channel, all of those kinds of things. I decided I was going to try and get that all done in one video, and that one video ended up being an hour. And that just seemed too long. So last night I tried to deal with the who am I and what have I done? And the problem being is I became really focused on, I've got a teleprompter off to the side. I became really focused on trying to keep it on track and get it all done in one take, basically, without any waffle, without any getting sidetracked and things like that. The truth is, that's just not me. I just waffle. That's what I do. And I don't think it's going to be productive for me, or I don't think it's going to be possible for me, not in these early days at least, if I try and get all of this done as concisely as possible in one take with as little editing as possible, and trying to keep it to a 10-minute limit, or trying to keep it all focused and properly done. I've got no idea what I'm doing here. And if I try and do it like that, I'm just going to end up not making videos. So I'm not going to try and do that. I am going to try and stay on topic, and I am going to try and be concise, and I am going to try and limit each video to one topic or one subject or one idea, but trying to do it the way that I've tried to do it the last couple of days, it's just not going to work like that. And so I'm going to just do it in the way that I am. I'm just going to have to try and be me. I will edit it down, take out a lot of the that I tend to do, take out a lot of the pauses and things like that. But other than that, I'm afraid you're just going to have to put up with me waffling and getting sidetracked sometimes. So this one is the who am I? What have I done? What do I do currently? This is that part. So my name is Neil Googe, 53 years old. None of that matters. Well, no, I say none of that matters. That's not true. It's relevant to everything I'm trying to do. My age is actually relevant to everything I'm trying to do. Neil Googe, 53 years old. So what is it that I've done? Well, I've had a career, 30 years or so, drawing for entertainment industries, if you like, mostly in comics. Most people are going to know me for my work at DC, but also a lot of concept art and a lot of illustration. So that started years back, got my break in Antarctic Press. From there, I went to 2000 AD. From 2000 AD, really early in my career, I was fortunate enough to be a part of the team that created comics. Comics I will talk about much more in a later video, but whilst at comics, that opened doors into concept art and illustration, advertising, all kinds of areas. When comics came to an end, through a strange series of fortunate events in an unfortunate moment, I managed to get work with Wildstorm. Basically, as comics come to an end, the same week comics came to an end, I was in America at the time, and San Diego Comic Convention was also going on at the time. And so I thought, okay, this has all kind of come to a crashing end. It happened very suddenly. So I went down to San Diego for the convention. While I was there, I bumped into Andy Diggle, the writer. He had been my editor at 2000 AD years ago, and there had been this possibility of us all working together at comics, which didn't come off. And Andy kindly introduced me to some of the editors at Wildstorm, and those people ended up giving me work pretty much full-time straight away. When Wildstorm then got rolled into DC, I went along with Wildstorm, and then I was with DC ever since, up until very recently. And still am. I just don't have work with them right now, but I would still work with them now. And while I've been at DC, I've worked on most of their characters, either in short form one-shots or something like that, or in longer form series. The last thing I did with them was Batgirls. And so that's been the comic work that most people will know. And I've also worked with 2000 AD the entire way along, from that first break all the way up until now. And again, really recently, I worked with them last year. I worked with them this year, but that also was an unfortunate set of circumstances, which I might cover some of the pitfalls of working freelance. Nobody at fault anywhere, just a bunch of miscommunication went on. And so that's the comic work that I've done. outside of the DC work and 2000 AD, people are going to know me for the comic work that I did at Comics, especially that comic, for people who know. It's not meant to be that cryptic. I created a number of characters while I was there, while we were all working together. But the character that I'm known for would be Bazooka Jules. I'm going to cover Jules properly in another video. It's a much bigger topic. Jules was controversial at the time, understandably. I'll put up an image here of Jules, what she was, but equally I'll put up an image of what she is, because Jules still has a lot to do with what I'm doing right now. For people that do know me, they always ask, where is Jules? When is it coming back? Are you going to finish it? Yes, I am. But Jules now is very, very different to what Jules was. Jules now is much closer to what I always wanted Jules to be. Not because I was told to do it any other way. I just didn't know any other way back then. I was a young, very inexperienced creator, and that was the result of that. Whereas I'm hoping now that the current version is a lot closer to at least what I wanted it to be. But I've got off topic. This isn't about Jules, but I will cover Jules. And so that's the comic work anyway that people know me for. As I mentioned, I've also done a fair amount of concept work over the course of my career, certainly much more so back during the Comex days and the earlier days after Comex, because Comex was the company that opened up the doors into concept work. While I was doing concept work, the majority of it was for games, computer games, but also a lot of TV, animation, movie, concept work, stuff like that. And at that time, I worked with most major games companies and a bunch of other companies. And as I say, I've still done it over the years, quite recently actually, with a tabletop gaming company who I'm working with again at the moment, but I'll come to that in a minute, part of what I'm doing. So I've done a bunch of concept work, and I've also done a bunch of illustration work, because Comex also opened the doors into a lot of editorial and a lot of advertising. But equally, if people need illustration work, they will sometimes reach out to editors of comics and things like that, especially if they're looking for that style. And then if I've worked with those editors and they think that my work would fit what they do, or the project that they're asking for, they will get in touch and say, hey, are you interested in doing this illustration work? This company's just been in touch and they're looking for this thing. And so the illustration work that I've done has also been wide and varied, from book covers to the time lapse that will be showing on the side. That's illustration work for a book. Oh, I've got a copy of it here. Ronin 47, that wasn't there for this bit, by the way. That was there because I couldn't remember what the kaiju was called that's currently running in the time lapse. But that's how that came around. I can't remember how John found me, the writer of the book, but I think he might have just found me online or have known of my work, maybe via 2000 AD. Anyway, that's by the by. So yeah, I've done a bunch of illustration work, as I say, from very corporate stuff all the way up to book covers and book illustrations, interiors. And in recent years, I've worked with a company called War Cradle. Now, I worked with them a while back, and it didn't work out that first time, not because of anything to do with War Cradle. They were nothing but helpful at that time. But mental health issues meant that I had to step away from that. Again, this is something I will talk about on this channel quite a lot, because while I don't consider my mental health to be a direct result of my freelance career, it's definitely played a part. And when you start to talk about imposter syndrome and those kinds of things, especially when you've got it as a serious problem, and especially given my relationship with my art, which I've touched on before, but I will talk about that. Yeah, I will talk about all of that at a later date. But anyway, so when I first worked with War Cradle, brilliant company to work for then and now, but I was doing a lot of concept work with them then. War Cradle are a tabletop miniatures company based out of the UK. A tabletop miniatures company that I would argue are second to none. The product they create is incredible. It really, really, really is. And they're a great team to work with. Oh, as I mentioned before, they are the people in my office, directly in my office, are the people that are holding me accountable to this channel and why I'm making these videos. That would be Curtis, Taylor, Becca, and Maroon. And so, yeah, hence why I have people saying, are you making more videos? Although it was very uncomfortable to walk into the office on Monday and see my face on all the screens as they were watching the videos, as they were watching the last video that they encouraged me to make. But that's by the by. I do appreciate the encouragement. And so I currently work with War Cradle again, only on a part-time basis right now, because I'm trying to do my own thing as well, because it doesn't matter how much creative freedom you're given at a company, and I am given a fair amount of creative freedom at War Cradle, where I am now an illustrator, not a concept artist. I am mainly focused on illustration. for me personally, it's still not a creative job. And that's not to sound ungrateful for the work that I've had and the career I've had. I'm extremely grateful to do what I do, but it's just not very creative for me because, as I think I mentioned in the last video, it's not what I wanted to do. I learned to draw because I wanted to be able to tell stories and visualize my worlds, not because I wanted to do art or be an artist. That wasn't the reason why, but I'll talk about that more in other videos as well. And so, yes, at the moment, I work with War Cradle. I do the illustration work for them. Currently, I'm working on their upcoming game, Armored Clash. They're also known for Dystopian Wars, both of which are set in the dystopian age. And they're also known for a game called Wild West Exodus, which at the moment isn't being supported. I am reluctant to use. It's not a dead game. It's just not being supported right now. Right now, for anybody that's even remotely interested who's watching this, and that's what I do with them. So that is, I'm at 13 minutes by the time I edit that down. That should be an appropriate length. So that is who I am. That is what I've done, what my career's been. I'm sure parts of that will come up in more detail over time. I've probably shown some work that I've done for those various companies over the years. Yeah, I will have somewhere in amongst the time lapse over here. I will have shown, or maybe I'll show it at the end. Maybe I'll have a collection of work at the end. Oh, I don't know. By the time if you've made it this far in the video, you'll know which way I've done it because the pop-ups will have mentioned it by this point. So yes, that is who I am and what I've done. As I say, comics, concept art, illustration, stuff like that. In the next video, I'm going to talk about what it is that I'm trying to do. And in the video after that, I'll waffle on about what I plan to do with the YouTube channel, what I want the YouTube channel to be, and what I'm trying to achieve with the YouTube channel, and what I want the channel to be for other people who are going to continue to watch it, hopefully. So yeah, I'm definitely going to leave it there because I am going to try and beat the 15-minute timer, and I'm on 14 minutes and 10 seconds. So thanks for watching, anybody who did. I do appreciate it. It has to be said, there was a comment on the last video from somebody who had no idea who I was, but YouTube had recommended it to them, and they were very polite and very pleasant, and I appreciate the encouragement. It's very motivating to have that kind of comment, and it was also very nice of Will to also reach out and chat. I really do appreciate that if you're watching this one as well. So, all right then, I'm going to leave it there before I hit the 15 minutes. Thanks for watching. Until the next one, um, I'll see you then. All right, cheers. Bye. Jesus, this damn fly.